The seagulls are coming to get me. With energy prices going through the roof, many people are looking at getting solar PV and battery storage to enable them to generate free electricity from their roof. And we're here today doing exactly that, installing a full solar PV and battery storage system. We're going to show you all the process of how the install goes. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Make sure you watch to the end of the video to find out exactly how much money this system is saving for our customer and how much energy it's producing. So yesterday the roof has finished off these rails, they're all in place now. Now what we're doing is putting these solar edge optimizers in place, and these allow us to optimize each individual panel so that, for example, if there's shading on one panel, the whole array doesn't get reduced in power output. They also allow us to monitor each and every panel's output and see, if each panel is working to its maximum efficiency or not. We do have to run a DC cable from the end through to connect to the other side of the roof. So I'm going to run that in now, and then we're going to neatly cable tie all the DC cablings underneath the rail, so it's out of the way, it's not going to get caught up or damaged or flapping around in the wind, and that'll result in a really nice, neat installation. Yeah, so that is what we're gonna do is crimp an MC4 connector onto the end of there, right, and then that will go onto there. So I think that'll be enough. Maybe just we can leave a little bit more. Yep. Yeah, I'll run it underneath the whole lot. So I'm just rolling out this DC cable, which is going to go from the end of our string here along and through the roof. So somewhere around here, it's going to go in through a little conduit into the loft space. Then we're going to neatly clip it through the loft. We're going to pop through to the other side, and it's going to connect it on to the other row of panels on the other side. Yep. I'll go into the loft, okay, and I'll sort of knock, or
if you just get a screwdriver and just tap it, and I'll
and then you know where it is, then you can lift the tiles, we can push that through. It'll just be a little bit of oval conduit that can slot under a tile basically, and you might just have to do a little notch just so that it fits neatly under. Yeah. Oh, and that is why you never cut cable ties off with a knife. Oh man. No, I just put my hand on it. Need flush cutters. Oh man. I always rave in my videos about flush cutters because you can cut cable ties off like completely flush, and I saw you cutting it with a knife and I was like, oh, that kills me. Yeah, so what we're doing here is we're gonna tap on the roof to let the roofers know where we need to come through. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I get a bit of conduit and shove it through. So what we're doing now is we're putting these oval conduits through the roof. The oval conduit will act as a protective shield around the DC cables so that they don't get scratched or anything as they come through the roof. And we're sliding it through the gaps between the felt so that we're not having to penetrate the roof felt. And then the roofer is cutting a little slot in the tile so that the conduit can neatly fit underneath. Then we can slide the DC cables through and they'll all be protected. And that will give us our link from that side of the roof to this side of the roof. Can you just grab this cable, please? Yeah, brilliant. If you can pull that long enough to go to this first optimizer. It's going to end up in a massive knot. These DC cables, they're quite thin really. They're 4mm squared or square millimetre, depending on how you like your millimetres. Important to note, the reason they're fairly small but they can handle quite a lot of power, they are running at quite a high voltage. So the solar panels connected in series, the voltages can be up in the sort of 400 or 500 range. It's important to mark positive and negative as well. So I've just put a little mark on this one to say that this is the positive, this will be the negative. What we'll do is we'll run one of them to that junction box, then it will go in and out of the panels all the way along to the end, back through, across to this side of the roof, through to one panel, in and out all the way along and back, and then into that junction box. So it's basically like a loop all the way round, and you'll just have one positive and negative in that junction box. So the panels are connected in series, and what we call it when there's basically one series of panels on one set of DC cables is one string. So in this case we only have one string of solar panels, so it'll just be one positive and one negative. If we had, say, double the amount of panels, we'd probably put 2 strings in, so you'd have 2 sets of positive and negatives. So that's the DC cables all run from the outside in to where they need to be. I'm going to mount the optimizers on that side, tie all the cables up to the rail, and then we can start mounting some panels. Hello, fancy seeing you here. So as I fit these optimizers, what I'm doing is putting the little stickers onto a physical map. This will enable us to scan all the QR codes in the mapping app that SolarEdge do, and then we know exactly where each optimizer is under each panel. So we've got our first panel on, and the idea really is to line that first panel up, and then once you've got it square and everything with the roof, then all the rest just line up with that one and they go in pretty quickly. The trouble is with an old house like this is the roof ridge is actually slightly sort of bowed, it's a little bit rickety, so you've got to try and get it right by eye according to the existing building, but it's not always easy to do that. So what we've been doing is sort of looking from all different angles just to make sure it looks right by eye, and then we're pretty happy with that one now. So we're going to start adding all the other panels on. We want to check our polarity, and to do that we can just use a multimeter just to make sure that we know that everything's connected right. Now that we've got one panel on, we should have 1 volt, and each panel that you add adds just 1 volt with the SolarEdge system. That's because of the optimizers, and it makes it a lot safer for the installers, which is another nice benefit of SolarEdge. So I'm just cable tying all of these slack bits here now, and then the roofers just can crack on and do their thing getting the panels on. Just going to do a voltage test between these two. Now that we've got one panel on, we should find that we've got 1 volt DC, 0.08, 0.7. Yeah, that's about right. To be honest, there's not much sunlight on it at the moment, so that would be why. Now if we flip this around, we should find it goes to minus. Yeah, we got a minus there. That means that this is the correct polarity. So this is our positive. What we'll do is just identify that with a bit of tape. So the tape indicates that this is our positive conductor. Now we will put a bit of tape around the ends, although to be honest it's not really necessary on SolarEdge because it's literally going to be 14 volts DC maximum because we've got 14 panels. But it's just good practice to do if you're not working on a SolarEdge system and you had those live ends, and they touched each other, they would do a serious amount of arcing. And I did do a demonstration of that in a video recently, so if you want to see that, I'll leave a link in the description to where I basically did a test arc between 2 DC cables at about 450 volts, and it was pretty impressive arcing, but very dangerous and a fire hazard, so that's why you should always tape the ends up. Okay.
Yeah, mate, do you want to come this way?
Yeah. Man, what? Yeah, this is ridiculous. We couldn't have picked a windier day to do it. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good here?
Yeah, is that enough?
Yeah.
Oh, I got it.
So we have the panels on this side. It's so windy, it was a bit of a challenge, but we're nearly there. So these panels are on, a little bit of final adjustment, then we're going to put the solar skirt on, and then we're going to jump on and do the other side. And in the meantime, I'm going to have a look at the battery. So this is our Solar Edge Energy Bank. It's a 10 kilowatt hour battery. Going to get it opened and then figure out how we're going to carry it around. Ta-da! Wow, very nice. 4 handles, fork handles. No, that's sketch. Basically, these are the handles that we use to lift it because it weighs 121 kilos. So we're going to need 4 men to lift this bad boy, which means cameraman's going to need to help, and we're going to get it round into its final position. Okay, so what we've got to do is lift that battery up and onto there, basically. Yeah, nice safe route.
Watch that step, mate, yeah?
Alright, I got it. Yeah, you got a step. It's nuts, isn't it? Right. That's not so bad like that.
That's alright like that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, what we've got is,
got to go first, yeah?
let's get as close as we can. Then you go in first. And then... Okay, got a hook onto there, yeah. We might even be able to...
Ready?
Yeah, that's there.
Hello, boys.
That's there.
Yeah?
A little bit my way of thinking. You're on? Okay. No. Oh, wait, sorry.
You've got to do the bottom first.
Bottom first. Right.
That's it, go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
No, just screw it in.
Yeah, more or less. That's it. Oh yes. Fantastic. Right, you guys are absolute legends.
No worries.
Thank you very much for your help. While I'm enjoying my cuppa, time to talk about today's video sponsor, which is Tradify. Tradify is a job management platform software that we use every day to run our business. It helps streamline things from booking in jobs, providing quotes, sending invoices, does everything you need to do for your back office system to save you time in the evenings and on the weekends. So head to the link in the description where you can get 50% off Tradify for your first 3 months using our special code. So the panels on the roof are done. We've managed to get the battery lifted into place before the roof is shot off. It is insanely heavy. I mean, you don't realise how heavy 121 kilos is. It is flipping heavy, even with 3 people. So we've got it on the wall, that's the main thing, solid. Now I'm just doing the DC isolator here, and then I can do the joint up in the loft upstairs. I've got to just pop a little conduit down to the battery to run the DC cables down to the battery and the earth cable down to the battery. And then basically we're good to kind of start switching it on and do the commissioning. So I'm super pleased that we managed to get all the panels on. There are a couple of brackets missing, so the roofers are going to have to come back on Monday and just fit those. But they're on and they're stable. It's just that we really want those last 2 roof clamps just to make sure that it's super strong on the roof. So they're just going to come back and fix that. And there'll be a few little roof repairs to do on Monday anyway. There's always a little bit of damage to roofs when you're doing solar because you're clambering around on the roof. So the roofers are going to replace any broken tiles, repoint any ridge tiles that have come loose and anything like that, just to leave the roof in a really good pristine condition, as much as it was when we found it anyway. So what I'm doing here is really belt and braces, because a lot of installers, they don't put a DC isolator in for Solar Edge, and the reason is that Solar Edge say you can actually just connect the DC cabling straight into it. It does have an isolator switch underneath, and as we mentioned before anyway, when it's not connected to the inverter, it's only going to be running at 14 volts, so it's not really unsafe. But just for good practice, we're going to just put a DC isolator in anyway. And what we're going to do is double through it. So it's a 4-pole isolator, but we're only using 2 of the poles. But we're going to actually wire it through the isolator twice. So you've got sort of double isolation. Again, extra belt and braces, probably way over the top, but it's how I've been shown to do it. And I just think, you know, why not do belt and braces? Why not go the extra mile? At the end of the day, it doesn't cost a lot, doesn't take that much more effort. So what we're going to have in our trunking here is, out of this DC isolator now, 2 cables through here and then into here for the solar. So they're going to come through here into there and then out of there to the battery. That's how it's going to roll. And then we're going to have an earth wire, 6mm earth wire from the consumer unit, just to bond the casing of the battery as well. So this is an MC4 connector. I have no idea what MC stands for. Let me know if you know that in the comments. But basically it's the standard solar connector. This is the male and this is the negative. This is the female and this is the positive. So the one I'm doing now is the negative, and I've got this MC4 crimping tool, link in the description if you want to get one of these. It's a little bit fiddly to do these, but there is a knack. So what I do is put it into the tool first. These are 4mm. Just crimp it down slightly like that and then pop it over the end of the conductor and then crimp down and just see what it does. Basically it doubles over the wire, and then this will just slide over. It will just click and then we tighten it up so that it grips on. Doesn't need to be over tightened, but it's just so that it grips to the outer sheath there to make it completely waterproof sealed. So that will click on like that, and then the positive will go in here, so I'll do exactly the same. With the positive you can see it's got a larger hole there, so the pin from the negative goes into that, and then again that just pops into there. But basically our DC cables from the inverter go in there, and then our earth connection is going to go in there. So we've got to run these DC cables now down, drill a hole here with a little bit of conduit running down, and that will take all of our DC cables in. So this goes here, and then the case will fit over. I've got to remove this as well before I forget. This is just a rubber protection thing. We'll run a conduit neatly down here to hide these cables, and then they will just loop up underneath and into the bottom here. So we've earthed our battery, basically just to make sure the casing is kind of bonded to the electrical system. Now all we've got to do is the connection in the loft for the DC cabling between the armoured and the DC string cables that come down, and just clip those up, and then we're ready to kind of turn it on. We need a 20mm compression gland, and we need our clips, we need a hammer, we need a miniature hacksaw. All this stuff that you need, it's like ridiculous how many things you need just to do such a small job. We need a mini roll for the energy. So with the DC cables, just want to clip them across neatly here. And apparently you can use one 2.5mm twin and earth clip to actually clip 2 DC cables. That works a charm. You can still do it. I've not even closed my rings today. I can't believe all the effort that I've gone to today. I've not even closed my Apple rings. I can just hear Yoda singing in my ear. The seagulls are coming to get me. So this is an armoured cable. We've run a 4-core in just for future proofing, but only needs to be a 2-core really. Now we could have run these DC cables straight down to the room, but we would have had to run them in conduit outside and it just wouldn't looked quite as neat. So that's why we've done armoured cable. We're going to joint them in here with Wago connectors or Vargo connectors. We've done a bit of research and we found that the 221 through connections can be used for DC, which is quite exciting. That's a good mini roll. So these are the Vargo 221 through connections, capable of up to 4mm squared conductors, capable of 32 amps, capable of DC voltages. So we're going to pop that on there. So that is on. So that's pretty cool. I'm not as antiquated as you might think. I used to rock out to a bit of screamo when I was feeling, you know, a bit of teenage angst. No, I'm not going to put the loft ladder up just yet, just in case. What I will do is get my multimeter on these cables from upstairs now. So we need 14 volts on this. There we go. We have 14 volts DC, which is our 14 panels. They're all good, working properly. Bing, bang, boom. So we can liven this bad boy up and see about doing a bit of commissioning. So we're going to map our panels out now by scanning all the QR codes. We've imported the design that we've made into the SolarEdge mapping app, and now all we do is basically tap on our modules. So that panel is this QR code, so if I tap on that and then I click here to start scanning, it'll allow access to the camera, and then we scan our first, then we scan our next one, 5th panel. So that's all our panels scanned in. That was really easy. Next we're going to set up our inverter, etc. Please move the inverter's red on off P switch to the P position and release it within 2 seconds. 1, 2. There we go. Wi-Fi connected. This has been an epic solar project. We have been able to document pretty much every stage of it as part of a video series here on our YouTube channel. If you've missed any of the series, you can find them all in the links below. Just to remind you, here's what it looked like at the start, and this is what it looks like now. So this is the lifetime energy of the system so far. It's only been installed for a couple of months and it is winter, so it's obviously had a fairly slow start, but next year it's really going to start throwing out a lot more power. But even now, on a day like today, it's generating about half a kilowatt, and it is actually charging the battery. 300 watts is going into the battery because the house is only using 170 watts. So it is generating and it is being useful to charge that battery. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, it'd be great if you like and subscribe. It really helps the channel to grow. And why not grab a cup of tea, sit back, relax and watch a few more of our videos, because we've got over 500 videos all about the life of an electrician, electric vehicle charging, renewables, smart home technology. So if you like that kind of stuff, join us for the ride. But either way, thank you for watching and have a great day. A mini roll. Now I need some Wagos, but actually I could do with the energy. Feel bad though, cameraman. Cadbury's, because everyone knows Max loves mini rolls.